hello, like hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. And because we're talking about fall palettes today, I'm wearing like a mustard sweater, which is gonna prove to be a bad idea in like 5 minutes because it's still 95 degrees here, so. But pumpkin spice lattes are out. Now, I have a short attention span for these kinds of videos, so I picked out my top 5 palettes within my collection that are just fall to me. And when I think about fall and I envision it, I think burgundies, mustards, olive greens, purples, those kind of like almost jewel tones, but very rich and earthy versions of those. So I'm just gonna go right into it. Let's talk about the first palette, which I feel like is the quintessential fall palette, must be included in any video that any YouTuber films on this topic, and that is the Soft Glam palette. And I feel like the main shade that makes this a fall palette is Mulberry, which is like a red, very burgundy brown, and it actually turns out to be a lot more brown than it looks like in the pan. It doesn't come off to be as strong a red as it may seem. So this is a neutral palette, but a lot of just marketed neutral palettes are neutral for light medium skin tones, whereas this one, the colors are much more potent and will show up on a wider range of skin tones, which is great. Besides this burgundy tone, there are some like very earthy natural leaf tones down here, like an orange and some browns, as well as, this isn't a leaf tone, but there's this bronze tone here, which is just a stunning bronze. Ooh. Yeah, that's a very like rich, it looks like an actual gold bronze, and I think that is just very festive for anywhere from fall to winter. That's actually all I have to say about this palette. I want to move through these fairly quickly just so this can be kind of a to the point video, you know? Oh, one thing, sorry, I said I was done, but what I love about this is it's part of the permanent collection of Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadow palettes, whereas recently some of the best eyeshadow palettes that Anastasia has been coming out with are limited edition, so you can't find them anymore. That is a very smooth transition into the next palette I'm talking about today, and that's the I was gonna say Anastasia Aina Hills. For the second palette, we have the Anastasia Beverly Hills Jackie Aina collaboration palette. Stunning, favorite packaging they've ever done on a palette, even more than the like very glittery, glitzy, glammy, sultry palette packaging. And this screams fall even louder than this does, but this is available and this is no longer available. So what makes this fall to me? There are the oranges, the like pumpkin and changing leaf colors. There's a burgundy, there are purple tones, they're even leaning a little bit berry here. There's also even a bronze again, but this is more of a dirty bronze, as in it has a little bit of like green and ruddiness to it, which I think suits the fall season quite well. Fall to me, like conceptually, is the season to play around with deeper, richer colors than you're usually comfortable with. And I know that we can wear whatever eyeshadow we want in whatever season, okay, but for many of us, just how the seasons influence fashion decisions, where you're wearing more mustard colors, more burgundy colors, it also influences makeup looks. I am wearing this palette on my eyes today, and it's super simple. All I did was take Ginger, this very warm transition shade, and I set that as my base, and then along my lash line and then blended into Ginger is Lituation, which is this purple taupe gray kind of duochrome metallic, which I didn't expect to like that much in this palette, but it's come to be one of my favorite shades because on the eyes it just looks so unique, and I don't have anything else like it. Since then, I have seen one other eyeshadow look like this. Well, two. Sydney Grace has one that looks like this, and there's also a shade in the Natasha Denona bronze eyeshadow palette, which is her second most recent release. For like just brightening up the inner corner, I used Glistening from my Soft Glam palette too. This palette is half neutral, half color. The colors are rich and deep, and even the neutrals are kind of amped up a bit. My third palette that I look at and think, that'd be real good for fall, is a big one. This is my So Jaded palette by Colourpop, and it's just covered in actual jewels, like even in the packaging. Jewel tones, fall, you know. So here it is. It is rearranged by color. It's not in the original layout, but that's because arranging by color makes more sense to me and my brain creatively. English? So again, let's look at the tones here. Here are your orange burgundies. Here are olives. Did I mention in the beginning that I consider olive to be a very fall tone? Because I think I did, and I do. So it has olives here, even a mustard, which I haven't really mentioned yet in the other two palettes, and these purples. And there you have it. That's pretty much every criteria that I thought of when I was coming up with criteria for what would suit a fall palette. What is wrong with me today? The criteria for what would define a fall palette. And this is just kind of timeless to me. I know I'm talking about this in terms of being a fall palette, but I mean timeless as in I never get tired of this palette. The possibilities are endless, and I know that's because it has so many shades. With more shades comes more possible color combinations and looks, but I just really don't ever get tired of this palette, especially when I rearrange it. And when I rearrange a palette, it's almost like it's a whole new palette to me. And mentioning that this is kind of a more wearable, grungy rainbow palette, that actually is a nice segue into palette number 4. That is the Alter Ego Artemis palette. First of all, look at this hunter green packaging. This hunter green, forest green, olive green is just one of those colors that I look for. And on the inside, there is that kind of grungy rainbow going on. And just looking at I rearranged this palette too, obviously. Looking at the original placement of the shadows within this palette, you wouldn't really think it to be a rainbow palette. But of course, when I organize by color, I can see like the truth of what's really inside the palette. So top row, we have the red burgundies, the leafy orange, pumpkin tones, mustards. There's this good section of olive green here. There's also this olive green shimmer down here, and all the manner of bronzes I could want or need. The only thing this is missing in terms of the tones that I was thinking of when choosing these palettes are like the berry burgundies and purple tones. But if a palette included every single one of those, then it really would be a rainbow palette, from red, orange, yellow mustard, olive green to purple. This palette is one that I think to especially reach into for just these olive, like hunter green tones. If I liked orange eyeshadows more, I would also think to go into this for these orange bronzes and coppers, which are also quite fall, but I don't wear those tones quite as much. And palette number 5, I hope I mentioned at the beginning of this video that I picked 5 palettes. I think I did, because I have a short attention span, as evident. Now, hear me out on this one. This isn't typically a palette that I think a lot of people would pick for fall, but I have the Huda Nude Obsessions Rich palette. And the reason I picked this palette is because of like the berry plum colorway of this. My everyday neutral tones are either just like straight neutral, like tans and whatnot, or they are like pink neutrals. And this has those pink neutrals with a little bit more depth, and it's just like, the depth is just cranked up a couple of notches from my usual, and like I said before, that is what the season is about for me. Those are my 5 palettes. Now, before you go, I do have one honorable mention, and it's an honorable mention because it's not like a company designed palette, but it is from Colourpop. This is my build your own palette, and hello, like, look at this row. Look at that hunter green. Wow, look at those berries, a plum. And then over here we have a mustard. I just realized that this shade fell out of the pan at some point while I was talking. So I'm just gonna pick this shadow up from my thigh and just set it back into its place. Ah! Oh no. Oh no, no, no. Oh no, 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 no. Well, that is a shame. The shade that fell out is Earthshine, which is one of my favorite. It's a duochrome, like purple blue. Okay, hopefully that shade is a little bit more secure, but can you see why I'm picking this as an honorable mention? This is actually screaming fall to me. This color combination of like green with purple has been super trendy this year. We saw it in the Colourpop Garden Variety eyeshadow palette. We saw it in the recent Too Faced Pumpkin palette, and in the Sydney Grace Tiny Marvels palette that they made with, I forgot her name, Mel Thompson. And not to toot my own horn or anything, but I put this together like a year and a half ago, so I feel ahead of the times. Only now I'm in the times. There you have it. Those are my top 5 best fall eyeshadow palettes by Color Story, and one honorable mention. I feel like since the eyeshadow palette tag that was really big a couple of months ago, I haven't seen a lot of videos of people just sitting down and talking about like top whatever kind of eyeshadow palettes, like top 5 neutral palettes or top 5 colorful palettes, top 5 seasonal palettes. Is this dying trend? I hope not, because I really enjoy these videos and I enjoy making them too. I really do vibe with just the color story of fall, like the mustard, the burgundy, this kind of like deep opal. What is this kind of gem called? I forgot. But like black diamonds, rubies, those kinds of aesthetics. Fall and winter are my favorite like half of the year because there's Thanksgiving, there's Halloween, Christmas, New Year's. There's just so much like celebration and I love that. A lot of reasons, I guess, to just reflect on like our blessings and what we're thankful for. Thinking about fall coming is just getting me to think about those things too already. Let me know what your favorite fall palette is in the comments, and honestly, like 2020 is gonna be over before we know it. Thank y'all so much for watching and for spending your time with me today. I hope you had fun. Remember that y'all are my treasure. Find the beauty in every day, but most importantly, be kind to yourself. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.